I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of November 4th, 2015. Coming to you from Alter Ego Comics in Lima, Ohio, home of all things awesome for your pop culture needs. Now that that commercial's out of the way, huge week for comics, another big week. Lots of new number ones, so we're kind of going to touch on those briefly. I've got two that I will give a shout out to, brief mentions. The Vision, number one. This is from Marvel Comics, written by Tom King. Artwork by some other person, Gabriel Hernandez Walta. And if you like The Vision, you should get this. That's it. So following up on Mark Waid's short story in Uncanny
Avengers Zero.
Was it just Avengers Zero?
Yes.
Where the Vision basically is having some technical glitches and feels that he needs to purge all of his memories in order to survive. He's kind of hallucinating and not really sure what's real and what's not real.
It's not the memories, it's the emotions.
It's the emotions. It's data. It's the emotion chip that must go back in. So he has purged all of that, and now somehow he is the Avengers liaison to the White House and has a wife and two children and lives in the suburbs of Virginia. There you go. Check out The Vision. Nova, number one. You may recall that Josh and I really enjoyed the previous Nova incarnation with Sam Alexander as the teenage Nova, preteen. He's like 13, 14, but depends on who draws him. He could be 18 or he could be 10. I don't know. So Nova's dad is back in the picture, so we've got Nova and son in this book, and it was enjoyable. Written by Sean Ryan, art by Corey Smith, and not everything may be as it appears in the world of Sam, in the peachy world of Sam Alexander now. His parents are back together. He gets to hang around and police the earth and the skies with his dad, but something is looming.
Looming, I say.
Loomis.
I've also got a couple quick hits this week. Number one, Drax from Marvel. This is written by CM Punk and Colin Bunn with art by Scott Hepburn. And this picks up with Drax with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they complete the objective thereafter, and they all kind of go their separate ways on their own missions. So Drax does what Drax is always trying to do, and goes to kill Thanos. And it's very fun and light and humorous, and it was Draxy. I liked it. If you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you like Drax, definitely want to check it out. And a service announcement. Deadpool, number one, according to the cover of the world's greatest comic magazine. Apparently, since they don't publish Fantastic Four anymore, Deadpool can have that. Written by Jerry Dugan, art by Mike Hawthorne. This is the new Deadpool series. He's got a movie coming out next year. If you like Deadpool, check it out.
If you're reading the previous Deadpool series, This is written by the same person.
The core concept now is Deadpool for hire. Basically, he's created an army of Deadpools and merchandised and hoard himself out. So it's art imitating life, essentially.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of recognizable Marvel characters and some new characters who are wearing the Deadpool costume and Deadpool mask, going out doing missions for hire for the Deadpool Corps or whatever, Deadpool Corporation. But yes, Deadpool number one. Deadpool.
It's here.
Deadpool.
All right, we got a double dose of X-Men this week. The long-awaited conclusion of Brian Michael Bendis' X-Men
oeuvre.
Run, tenure. I'm not really sure what word to use there. This is Uncanny X-Men number 600, and is an oversized smorgasbord of Bendis writing and working with artists that he's previously worked with on a bunch of different books, including Sarah Pichelli, Stuart Immonen, Chris Anka, Chris Bacalo, Dave Marquez, Fraser Irving, all kinds of people in here. So the crux of the story is there's an intervention that all of the X-Men hold for the Beast, because he has done some crazy stuff in the last several years, including bringing the original X-Men forward in time to try and stop, I almost swore, crazy Cyclops, crazy adult Cyclops, among other things. So Storm has organized an intervention with the Beast, and he is not too happy about it. So we're getting, that's the core, and then we're getting flashbacks to 10 hours before, 20 hours before, 30 hours before, and it kind of wraps up some of the storylines that Bendis has introduced in the two X-Men books over the years, including young Iceman, who is freely admitting that he's gay, confronting his older Iceman self and having a conversation about, well, why haven't you admitted it? What else do we get? Jean Grey, young Jean Grey, well, there is no old Jean Grey in this, but saying that she wants to go away from everybody and kind of explore the world on her own and work with Emma Frost some more to control her powers. Really enjoyed it, and honestly, I hadn't read an issue of Uncanny X-Men in years, so I was able to jump into this no problem. We kind of get an end. Is this the? Yes. There are a couple other things to mention in here. Cyclops calls all of the mutants together on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. to...
It was the Capitol building, wasn't it?
It was one of those white buildings with steps in Washington,
Why has it got to be a white building?
I think that there was a body of water. I'm not sure.
That would be the Washington Monument.
Yeah, no, not the Washington Monument. Anyway. And we don't know where that leads, but Cyclops is essentially saying, "Look, see, we're all gathered together. We're not blowing stuff up, and the humans have no reason to fear us." Well, too late for that, Cyclops. In the back, we get a very cool black and white kind of winter story by...
It's from Bizarre Adventures 27, I think?
Yeah, by Mary Jo Duffy, who I know better as Joe Duffy, and George Perez. Winter Carnival. So there's that. Well, that was a long time, so...
And it's about Bobby in college.
Yeah.
And if you look closely, there could be some clues there to his sexuality.
Yes. He does something with a ice sculpture of Angel.
He doesn't.
Okay, so flash forward 8 months, not from today, but in Marvel Universe time, and we've got Extraordinary X-Men #1 by Jeff Lemire and Humberto Ramos. And this was my favorite book this week. A lot of it was because of Ramos's artwork. He hasn't drawn the X-Men in quite a while. He was tied up with Dan Slott doing Amazing Spider-Man and doing a great job on that. So Storm is the leader of this team. She's basically the headmaster of the of one of the schools. Which school are we at? I don't know if it's the Jean Grey school or Charles Xavier
Scott gave up the other school, so it might be Xavier again.
It really doesn't matter. So Storm is leading the charge here. And the Terrigen Mists that have been released by the battle between Thanos and Black Bolt have sterilized the mutant population. So not only are the mutant numbers lower than they've ever been before, they are now unable to reproduce. So we're back to no more mutants in a roundabout way. So she is kind of assembling this team of very likable characters that I want to see interact together, including Iceman, Illyana Rasputin.
It's old Iceman. Bobby.
Yes,
adult
it is.
Bobby Drake.
It's adult Iceman. Colossus with a beard, Nightcrawler, Young Jean Grey, and Old Man Logan. This is awesome. And right now it's the only X-Men book on the stand. So if you want to read the X-Men, pick up Extraordinary X-Men. Even if you don't, it's just awesome. I really enjoyed it. Did you like it?
I did. It was good.
And I'm done talking.
Okay. Next up for me, I've got Unfollow #1 from Vertigo. This is written by Joshua Williams.
I don't think so.
Robbie Williams? Rob Williams. With art by Batman. You know, a competent person would have been checking this while you were talking for 5 minutes.
What?
Yes. What happened to cut letters pages or
Isn't it on the front?
title pages?
No.
No, it's not. It's just Williams. Someone Williams.
Robin
and
Williams,
art
sorry.
by someone Dowling. I apologize.
Father
Dowling.
Dowling.
Yes. Unfollow is the story of a tech millionaire who's invented a social media platform who's dying and has decided to leave all of his millions to 140 people. Except it's actually left to whoever's still alive of those 140 people at the moment of his death. So it's sort of a weird Hunger Games, murder for money, social media thing.
Ready Player One.
Yeah, that one, I guess.
You should read
I
that.
should read it.
The
It's
hell
on my
is wrong
list.
with you?
I told you to read it.
I know, and the fact that I finished a book and you still haven't picked it up is amazing. Great book, by the way. Ready Player One. Read it before the movie comes out.
Yes.
We have it here in the shop.
But that's the overarching plot, and then we see individual people who are on the list and what their lives are like, and it was very interesting, human engaging stuff, and it promises to be super cool.
And brings out the dark side of the human race.
Right.
Am I going?
Yep.
All right, another contender for my pick of the week this week is Klaus. Or
Klaus.
Claus with a K, #1. This is a 6-issue miniseries. Wait for it. Written by Grant Morrison with artwork by Dan Mora, and this is the complete package, folks. This looks amazing. It reads amazing. This is Santa Claus Year 1, and this is one of the most accessible Grant Morrison stories I've ever read. Grant Morrison tends to write very highbrow material that may not click with the average reader, but this will. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to what happens over the next 5 issues, and it's very timely as we're into the holiday season, like it or not. Would definitely recommend picking up Klaus #1 and seeing how Santa becomes Santa.
And this is not your father's Santa Claus
No.
necessarily. This is a fantasy-inspired.
Yes. If you're a
what,
sword
medieval
and sorcery fantasy, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings type
Santa
stuff.
Claus meets Game of Thrones.
Yes, yes. There's actually a bloody wolf on the cover, so pick it up.
Next up for me, I've got Hercules #1,
Hercules!
written by
So you
Dan
have to say
Abnett.
Hercules that way.
Hercules. Written by Dan Abnett with art by someone Ross.
Luke Ross.
Luke Ross.
See, I do my research.
Yeah, sure you did.
I also know my artists.
And this is a new Hercules series. This is the Prince of Power in the present day, trying to do good. And he's sort of almost like a hero for hire. He's a god for hire, demigod for hire. He's printed up business cards
He went to Vistaprint.
that say Hercules labors performed, which are brilliant. And this is just about some kids that ask him to help, and it sets up his world. Dan Abnett has a great feel for mythology and for humor, and that's exactly where Hercules lives, is at the crossroads of ridiculous and historic. And it's just super fun. We also get some stuff picked into Gilgamesh. We see him fighting...
Don't worry about that. No one remembers Gilgamesh.
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra? Shaka when the walls
Gilgamesh
fall?
was an Avenger in the 90s.
Oh, is that really?
Did you even know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah. Avengers 300, I think, was the team with Gilgamesh, Reed and Sue Richards, and some other people.
This sounds like a made-up
Possibly
Avengers.
Hercules. I would.
It's great.
If you're looking for something new and different to pick up, whether you're a Marvel fan or not, I would definitely check out Hercules. I really enjoyed the scene towards the end where he's got his collection of items, that personal treasures that people have paid him, because he's not asking for money. He's not really demanding.
He wants something valuable, but it has to be valuable to you.
His super says you need to offer him
right.
prostitute or whatever it is. Propriety. I can't even say it.
Propensity?
Some Greek word. I liked it.
It was quite good.
Yes. So, you may have heard there's a new James Bond movie opening this week called Spectre, where James Bond dresses in a green cloak and has a glow-in-the-dark white face. No, that's not it.
It's Hal Jordan.
So, to go along with it, Dynamite Entertainment, of all companies, is releasing a new James Bond comic series, the first in 20 years. There hasn't been a James Bond comic series in 20 years, and they have gone all out, and they've got Warren Ellis writing this series. Artwork by Jason Masters, and this is Ian Fleming's James Bond. The name of the series is something I can't pronounce because they're two consonants that don't go well together.
Damn you, Eastern Europe!
Vargr, V-A-R-G-R. Any of you that are familiar with whatever language that is can help me out with that. If you're a Bond fan, you absolutely want to pick this up. Warren Ellis is a very talented writer. And I'm curious to see what he does with the James Bond character. The first issue was excellent, and they're doing this the way they did the novels. So this Bond doesn't look like any specific actor, although he kind of sort of does look like Pierce Brosnan to some degree. So this is James Bond. It's 007. We don't know.
Yeah, it's not tied to the movie.
It's not tied
chronologically.
to Spectre.
It's tied to come out with Spectre.
Yeah, because there's
plotline-wise,
isn't Ray Fiennes' character in here?
Maybe.
Anyway. Monty Penny's in here, and it's clearly the Monty Penny that's currently in the Daniel Craig movies. But if you're a Bond fan, if you're going to see Spectre, you should definitely come in and pick up James Bond Vargr, issue #1 from Dynamite. And I've been told by the folks at Dynamite that Warren Ellis is on this for at least 12 issues. So we should have some great stuff. Very similar to what... it's not similar, but Dynamite has been doing some great stuff by locking in some A-list talent for at least 6 or 12 issues, like what Gail Simone did with Red Sonja. And we both loved that book, even though neither one of us were huge Red Sonja fans. So if you're a Warren Ellis fan, if you're a Bond fan, pick it up.
Yeah, and I would argue it's actually just that Pierce Brosnan looks like James Bond. I just think that's
And
that's
Remington Steele.
Yes, him also.
For those of you that remember that.
And the guy in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Guggins with a lime.
Yes. Next up for me is Detective Comics 46. This is a awesome team-up story between the Jim Gordon Batman and the Justice League. It's done in one. It's written by Peter Tomasi, who writes DC Comics better than almost anyone, and it's just super great.
Artwork by Marcio Takara. I skipped this, and after hearing John, whatever your name is, Josh, talk about it, I want to go back and check it out. Finally, for me, is just a public service announcement. Paper Girls #2 is out from Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang. Just buy it. It's freaking awesome. There, I said it. And if you haven't picked up Paper Girls #1, we still have copies available. You should do it. So if you have questions, ask us.
What a week. We had 2 Brian K. Vaughan books out this week. I'm getting spoiled by...
Yeah, lots of great stuff.
Yes, and my pick of the week this week is Invincible Iron Man #3 by Brian Michael Bendis and David Marquez. This was the one where it started to feel like Iron Man for me. Bendis' feel is a little different. He writes Tony with a slightly different personality, and it totally paid off and was hilarious and awesome and human, and it was great. A lot of people for the last 5 or 6 years have written Iron Man like Robert Downey Jr., and that's fine.
Like
but
his portrayal in films.
Well, let's be honest, he's just being himself. But this feels uniquely like another Iron Man. It's identifiably Iron Man. It's really good, but it's not necessarily just parroting what we see in the movies, which I super like. So
special guest appearance by Doctor Strange, and there's an awesome facial hair moment between Tony and Stephen Strange.
Yes.
Good stuff. So, lots of awesome stuff. Hit up your local comic shop. Come see us here at Alter Ego Comics, and we will point you in the right direction towards comics that are awesome. Thanks for watching. We will see you soon.